The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson, for that fine introduction. You are back with me, the Zig Zag Man, in Alameda, California, comfortably zoned, pushing on the doors of life marked pull, and I'm pretty lucky. I get to speak to the most interesting people on the planet. A lot of them are baseball people, baseball related, because I'm very shallow, and that's all I know is baseball. But I kibitz with wonderful people. Today is no exception. My guest is Sherry Davis, and Sherry's been with us over the years quite a few times. If you go to my YouTube channel, Comfortably Zoned, and type in Sherry Davis, there's a bunch of interviews. You've graced us. I'm lucky to have you as I consider you to be a friend, not just a podcaster. Sherry, how are you?
Absolutely a friend. And I've got to say, liking baseball does not make you shallow. Au contraire, my dear.
Oh no, it doesn't make you shallow. It doesn't add to it, though. Put it this way: if you're shallow to begin with, that's okay. I mean, it doesn't.
Intricate game.
I will say, though, in terms of intellect and the expanse of baseball can't be matched. I'm so happy. You know, if one has a passion, whatever it is, they're blessed. But I'm happy to have chosen mine. Let's put it that. Yeah, and you are you're storied in the annals of baseball, and I say this seriously. You were the first female public address announcer in Major League history, and you had a display, I don't know if it's ongoing, in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, it's a permanent exhibit. It's the Women in Baseball exhibit, yeah.
And it's there today. If you went to the Hall of Fame, you'd get to see it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when it was open, I thought it was going to be just there for a few months or what have you. But no, it's a permanent display they have.
Oh, well, I'm so envious. Not just because I competed for the job that you got. I could not have done it justice in any way. It takes a terrific amount of concentration while watching a ball game. You can't just drift off. Who's coming up? Who was up? Who's on base? That kind of thing.
You can never take your eyes off the field.
Right. What do you attribute your I guess concentration is to it? I've always been a daydreamer, and I'm looking for a word, but how did you stay concentrated for all that time?
Oh, well, that's a hard question. I try to, I'm a perfectionist, which is a hard thing to be, and I don't recommend it to anyone, but I took my job very seriously.
Okay, the word you used was a perfectionist, and that describes it. In whatever you're doing, and you just transcended that. You were a legal secretary, a legal assistant, office manager. How did those skills transcend to the job you did in baseball?
Well, I've always had two careers. I was a theater major, and I've done theater and performing since I was a toddler, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And those skills, more than anything, contributed to my ability to do the job. I had a lot of voice training. I learned how to present myself, how to perform, and I think that's what stood me in good stead. I I don't know how I can equate being a legal secretary to that, except that it's a very stressful job as well. And you have to learn how to...
You have to handle the pressures, day-to-day pressures.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the life like for a public address announcer before the game? How do you prepare?
Oh, I'd always get at least an hour beforehand because I would have to go over my copy. I would read it aloud to make sure there were no, tongue twisters in there. But also, the copy I got came from all over the place, from many different sources, and a lot of it was not proofread before it got to me. So I would have to rewrite a lot of what I had and correct things. I remember there was a Little League or Babe Ruth League award day, and they were giving it to Matt Williams. And they said previous winners was so-and-so and so-and-so and Stan Musical.
That's
but,
funny.
There were things like that all throughout it. Thank goodness being a legal secretary, I do know my grammar and, tenses and things like that. So that does help. I would have to rewrite things that were not written in, correct grammatical.
When you hear, with all those skills that you brought to the table, when you hear public address announcers of the present, not necessarily the Giants, but all over baseball, what do you think? Do you shake your head?
No. Well, everyone's different, and everyone brings something special to it, and people have different tastes. I'm not a big fan of the over-the-top roller coaster voice, the Kirby, that kind of stuff doesn't appeal to me. But, some people love it, so God bless them. There's something for everybody.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Hey, you just came off a couple of weeks ago a Giant reunion of 1993.
Right.
I'll let you just elaborate on the thrill of what it must have been. And has it been 20 years? Are you kidding me?
30 years.
Oh, 30, you're right. Oh, God. In a blink of an eye, really and truthfully. And it just goes to show you young people out there, everybody I talked to when I was a kid, you better just appreciate what you have. It goes fast after a while. As a kid, as a young person, you can't assimilate that. There's no way you can imagine that. When I said 20, I thought that was a long time off the top of my head. It's 2023.
Yep.
Wow. What was it like hooking back up with your old running mates?
They are so sweet. They are just the sweetest guys. A lot of them said to me, that they really enjoyed hearing me say their names again. It took them back. It really brought the feeling back to hear them announced as they were announced during their days at the Stick. So that was really sweet. And they're just really nice guys. They were just, if I hadn't had their support when I first started, I don't know if I would have made it, having their support meant everything. They were always, always supportive and nice to me. and I'm very grateful.
You were a pioneer. Don't lose track of you were like a Rosa Parks, a pioneer, someone who was on uncharted ground, and you handled it like a pro, Sherry.
Well, thank you, my dear. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's not easy being the first doing anything. You
right?
There's a lot of resistance to any type of change, you know.
Who particularly greased the way for you, if you would?
Well, there were people who helped me that year. Robin Carr, who was head of PR, was really helpful to me, you know. If I had an interview and someone was particularly abrasive or argumentative or what have you, I'd say something. She'd say, "Oh yeah, he's a jerk." Yeah. Okay. So that helped. She really helped me a whole lot.
Okay. I won't ask you who held you back.
No, but I'll tell you that you never knew who was going to support you and who wouldn't. A couple of people who supported me, Pete Rose, was very good. He was like my second or third interview. He had a radio show. And I thought, oh, dear me, this may not go well. So when I first got on, I said, Pete, I know you're a hard-nosed player. What do you think about a woman announcer? And he said, well, I played in Japan. I have no problem with him. And I read more about him, and it turns out that during the days when there was still segregation and black players couldn't stay at the hotels, they would usually stay with black players on the home team, and there were like 2 or 3 white guys who took them in, and Pete Rose was one of them. So say what you will about Pete Rose, he's not a prejudiced person either against women or black. So hey, you just never know. You can't tell from what you read in the paper how people are going to be or what they think.
And
guys,
you have to realize people are not black or white if you're not racially.
Right.
People are gray, all shades of gray at different times. And unless you're a sociopath, you could pretty much get along in the world. There are people adjusting to mistakes they made and what have you. The trouble with Pete Rose is he never copped to it. Whatever it was, he never. And it would have been so much easier for his peace of mind if he didn't have to remember the lie each time. And
I know, but I think that's so far in the past, and he was a great player. And I feel like it's kind of hypocritical now because you watch pregame shows and they're giving you the betting line. And some of the sponsors are online betting sites. So I just feel it's if they're promoting betting, I know not for the players. I know it's for fans, but still, they're blurring the line there, and he has apologized, and he has copped to it. Too little, too late, I guess. But I feel like there needs to be a little wiggle room there for him.
For all of us, how about that?
Yeah.
It's not easy to go through life. Sherry, let me just off the top of my head, for people to get to know you a little bit, what music do you listen to on a regular basis?
Oh, I'm a blues gal.
Oh, me too.
very much the blues.
Not a gal yet, but working on it in some respects.
I like a lot of New Orleans music, Chicago blues. I like Zydeco.
A little Muddy Waters, if you will.
I saw Muddy Waters. I saw him
really?
in the 70s in Virginia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was like my first exposure to blues was Muddy Waters.
Well, let me give you a little album hint, and it's on YouTube. Muddy Waters and the Rolling Stones in 1982. The guy and a whole bunch of other folks, but mostly the Rolling Stones. And it was at the Checkerboard Lounge in Chicago. And if you get a chance to listen to it, it is absolutely fantastic.
I'll definitely do that, yeah.
Yeah, catch it, and that's what I listen to. What's the latest book you're reading, young lady? I know you're a reader. Ferocious.
It's a recent book on Bali and the culture and the religion and the customs and what have you of Bali. Usually I read fiction, but this is a nonfiction that I'm reading right now.
Right. And you spent part of your life there, am I correct?
I went there in 1979 to study dance in a tiny little village with no running water, no telephone, dirt roads, It was paradise back then. It was really wonderful. Yeah, I was very, very fortunate to be able to do that.
Good. Life's experience.
I paid
$1. Experiences.
Yeah, I paid $1 a night where I stayed, and that included breakfast.
Wow.
Yeah.
You might have found yourself living there for life. What brought you back to this crazy world that we live in now?
Well, I wanted to continue performing in theater. And there, I wouldn't be performing there. I mean, I would be studying there, but I don't know that I'd reach the level where, little girls who'd been doing it since they were 5 years old achieve, Mm-hmm. I went there primarily to study mask and mask movement to help with my theater work back in the States. So, but it's my heart home. It's the people there are just so. I like them because they're very sweet. They're very family oriented. They're very spiritual, but they're also very mischievous and they're fun loving. So they're like the best of everything for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sherry, continue to come back, if you will, and keep in touch. I really enjoy your company, and
do the same. Me too.
Let's do it again soon. And if you have anything to say that's podcast worthy in your mind, you always have a microphone to speak your mind here. And it's a pleasure having you and a pleasure being your friend.
Likewise. Same. Right back at you.
All right, my friend. And thank you for listening, everybody. Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. Sherry Davis was the guest. I'm Ralph Tycho, the weak link of it all. Adios and happy trails.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.